Yowie, Ninibang, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things Transformers and Transformers action figure related. And today we're going to do something in the booth that we've not done for a fair while, and this is do a bit of a comparison between the Deformation line, which I have here, and a version from the Hasbro line. So this is the Deformation Tine. So this is LIELITENANT TONGTIAN, and this is the Deformation version of Ultra Magnus. And what this is this is an oversized KO version of the Siege version of Ultra Magnus in its true white and blue colours. So I have the Siege version, although this is the version from the spoiler box that I have, and we're going to compare the two and see if a KO can actually be better than the original, because guys, this one is actually an oversized version as well. As always on this show, let's start with the packaging. And the packaging here for the Deformation line, we can see on the outside that we have a nice product shot of TONGTIAN there, or Magnus. On the bottom we have Deformation, some lovely little writing, ages 6+, and then the BPF toy logo. On the side we have another nice little product shot with Deformation, LIELITENANT TONGTIAN. There at the top we just have Deformation. At the bottom, don't eat your children, but in a different language. And then at the side we have a lovely product shot there as well of BPF Hyper Magnum. And then on the back we have all of the lovely product shots. Doesn't tell you, like on the Siege ones, how many steps it takes to change, but you can see that he turns from his cab to his bot mode and then to the fully armored TONGTIAN mode. And then if we look at the here, we see that it comes with high energy rockets, magnetic launcher, and an energy gun. Also, it's not suitable for children under the ages of 3 and contains small parts. So that's the packaging on the outside. On the inside, I did get a couple of questions yesterday when I posted this on Instagram about how the package comes. Yeah, the package here is ripped. That's not the fault of mine or the guys that sent it me. Unfortunately, when things are making it over from China, sometimes they get a bit damaged in the post, and this was a victim of the postal service. We'll just take this out. Okay, so then we have the inside of the box here, and on the inside of the box it comes in the normal plastic thing. It is tied down. Someone was asking the other day, so it's tied down with these cable ties, very similar to the way we get the Hasbro ones. And then on the inside we get this, which is, yeah, a nice drawing of a Cybertronian alien landscape, I guess. So nice, they've actually done some artwork in the middle here as well. And then we also get destructions, and the destructions are in my favourite, which is the sheet form, and they are practically as good as the Magnus ones because the transformation is identical between the two. But you get some nice shots in there, and it just tells you what to do along with everything that comes with it. So time to crack on with the main event himself, and as you can see, it's the Siege Ultra Magnus. There is no real difference here in this mode as much. You can see that we have all the guns in the same place. He comes with exactly the same kind of accessories that Magnus has. The trailer is the same. Everything is the same. It's a fantastic representation of the Siege Magnus. In some ways it's better. As I said, it is a larger version. When we bring out the Siege Magnus, let's bring this out straight away, we can see how much bigger it is. So you can see here that if I put them side by side, there is it's little inches everywhere, but all these little inches make the real difference as we go through the figure itself. Everything else is pretty much identical, even down to the moldings and everything. So you can see the back side here on the original. You can see you've got the 3 marks within there, and then everything else is the same. And when we bring through the KO version, we can see the 3 marks there, and everything is the same. So if you own this version of Magnus, what you get in here in some ways is identical, but in other ways is better. And certainly in this version, I can tell you now, the back here, this is all die cast, whereas obviously the back here is plastic. So this is all die cast metal here on the front of this one, whereas the other one is just the plastic version. Which is really good. It adds a lot of weight to the figure, gives it a little bit more heft when it's in robot mode. Obviously it just feels a little bit better with it being a robot and not having the plastic. Something else I quite like, if I take the gun off here and the gun off here, I know these aren't from the same exact version, but you do get more paint on this version here. So this has a nice red handle with the silver gun, whereas this one is just a plain plastic. So this is a really nice kind of bit of added paint that you get with this accessory here. And also when you look inside the magnetic cannons on this one, you can see that this, again, this is just the black plastic that Hasbro went with, and on this one the markings are the same, so you can see it's practically identical in every single way. But when you look inside, you have got a nice little silver barrel. So in some ways, yeah, this is the better version here for the KO. So both modes, you can see that this is slightly smaller. The other version is slightly larger, but the real differences don't come from this mode. Obviously the real differences that we start to see are really on the bot mode. Closer inspection now of just the cab mode on its own, and we have the KO version here and we have the Hasbro version here, and you can see, I mean, I know there's slight subtle color differences because this is the Siege version of Ultra Magnus from the spoiler box, so I know the color scheme was slightly different, but the main thing here obviously is the size difference, and we can see it's slightly taller on this one than it is on this one. Everything else is practically identical. You don't get your Autobot insignia for this, and even if you get a sticker, oh no, there is a place for you. If you can get a little repro label, you can put it on there, the same as this one. So you can see that the two here are pretty similar. Difference is this one has the grey kind of bumper on the front, this one doesn't have any paint on the bumper. This one has yellow within the lights, this one doesn't have any within the lights, so you can choose your paint, I guess, going from all over it. This one might be really nice as well if you get one of those liners, the originally for Gundam, one of the Gundam liners. I think that the KO version would look incredible if you did the KO liner on it. Coming around the back here, you can see everything else is identical. Markings, take away the silver paint on all this one. This one is whiter, this is kind of a creamier color, so I do like how white this version is, but everything else is identical. All of the markings, all of the detailing and everything is completely identical. Something that is good on this, because on previous ones the ports have been different sizes, but what I really like on this is that they have managed to now get, even though they've KO'd oversized the figure, they've made the ports the same size. So this is the Hasbro one, Hasbro weapons that I'm putting on the KO, and this is the KO weapons here. It's the KO weapons here that I'm putting on the Hasbro, and we can see that everything just fits in snugly, which is great because they hadn't managed to do that on some of the other ones. The ports were too big. To show you how this cab sizes up with the other KOs from this line as well, we have the Prime cab here. So there's their version, their take on the Siege Prime cab, and we can see it scales really well with that. So you can see that the Prime here, it's about the same level, maybe a little bit smaller, but it does scale really well. So this is the oversized KO version of the Siege Prime that you can get from this line as well. Transformation on these dudes are exactly the same. So the transformation on this, you can see, first thing we'll do is we will open up the arms and then separate the legs. You can then swing the leg. Listen to those ratchets on the KO as well, sound really, really nice. Swing the full body around, pull his whole body forwards, make sure that you've unhooked the arms so that you can actually bring that body forward, flip out the head. Once the head's out, push it back, arms in, and then move this up. You can see I've transformed this once to just a bit of, to be where there is a little bit of blue paint that's come through on this, and I've only transformed him the once, so that's worth noting. Then pull this guy forward and fold up and bring him back, and then we have hands, flip out the feet at the back. Now that they are both transformed, this is where you really do start to see the difference in the side. You can see there's clear, significant differences now if I put them back to back of the height difference between these two figures. The Hasbro version here, definitely I prefer the white on this. I don't know how well this is coming through on my camera. This guy is definitely more of a creamy type color, where this guy is grey in parts, but it's like ice white in other parts. And I love the color scheme on this dude. Really, really cool. Always loved it since I got it. I know a few people weren't happy about the color scheme, but I absolutely adore the color scheme on this. When we start to look at head sculpts and molded detailing, so if we look at the head sculpt on both of these dudes, we can see that it's a very similar head sculpt in both circumstances here. They both have very nice head sculpts. In fact, they both have identical head sculpts with the blue and the white. The paint on this one doesn't fully go around everywhere. There is the kind of gap here, whereas this one has the paint all around from the eyes from Hasbro. This one just kind of does the face grill and the top, and then the eyes in the middle. But the separation here looks pretty good. There is some little touches of silver paint on the inside here that really set it off in between, but I still think it looks really, really nice. You get some nice paint as we go through. Some paint on the bottom here, some nice silvers, and then around the back we don't get any paint at all on this bad boy. On this one, obviously, we've got a different paint scheme. We don't have the silvers in here. We've got the yellow here, no paint at all on the cod piece, and then again, not much paint in the back apart from here, so it's more about the molded detailing and the plastics there. But just to show you that these are fine, the articulation is the same on both, so we get a really nice head swivel, head up and down, heads on a ball joint, really, really good. 360 on the arms, 360 at the elbow, nice extension there at the elbow as well, and some hand articulation. We get a full 360 swivel here and some really nice action on the legs, and a beautiful, really nice tight ratchet joint there. Knees are on a really nice bend as well. They don't really get any twist out, but you do get some foot rocker action, what limited foot rocker action there is. So overall, really nice. When we compare it to the Hasbro one, The joints on the Hasbro one actually feel a lot looser, so this is obviously still great articulation and exactly the same, but when I have to say, like, this joint here is good, but then when I send it out to the side, you'll see this more in the fully armored up mode, it doesn't feel quite as stiff as this one. So I'd say the ratchets and the articulation is actually stronger on the KO than it is on the Hasbro piece. Now for a quick comparison, again we can bring the KO version of Prime out from this line, and we can see that he stands a little shorter than the KO version of Prime, and of course the KO version of Prime towers over the Hasbro version of Magnus here. He's a little taller, not by much, but he is a little taller. It'll be interesting to see them together once we get Magnus's armor on. Here we have the fully armored up TONGTIAN, aka Deformation Ultra Magnus. If you want to see how to put all the armor on, you can go to my video here. I promise you that it is exactly the same as it is for the Hasbro version, so you can see my video on the spoiler box to see how to put all of this gear on him, and he looks incredible. He looks absolutely phenomenal. I'll go through the differences in 2 seconds, but first of all we'll have a little look at this figure. He looks really good. The head sculpt is absolutely incredible. The only thing I would have liked to have seen here is a little bit bluer on the eyes, because you can't really see all of the beautifulness from the eyes. The camera certainly doesn't capture it, but it's nice. You get really nice translucent blue. This is die cast on this figure, so that's absolutely incredible. They've actually put some metal on this. Very nice. We get some nice blue here. Everything is as Ultra Magnus should be. You can see the paint's a little bit sloppy between the two, but hey, it's a KO. It's not too bad. As we go through, you can see all of the nice molded details, some nice lighter blue here that just comes straight from the other mode. All of the molded detail on the legs, as I said before, here and here, these are die cast, and then you get some lovely silver paint here on the front. On the back, just looks really nice, pretty much the same as the Hasbro version. So the added thing that you're getting with this figure, certainly in this mode, is you are going to get some really nice height and also some added die cast. Now we can see the two side by side, and this is where you can really start to see the difference between the two. There is a clear difference between the size of these two figures. If I just stand him up straight and push him back, you can see the clear difference in the size on these two. The KO version is far taller than the other version of Magnus. Standing shoulder by shoulder, you can definitely see the height difference. If I put a Siege Prime here in front of them, you can see Magnus is much bigger. This is more the size I want my fully armored up Magnus to be, and I think he looks incredible. Even next to the Siege figures, I think he looks absolutely incredible. Articulation wise on this figure, it's always a bit of a challenge with this figure because he's so fully armored up, but you do get some good articulation, so he can arm up, arm down, rotation here is still nice, and you get a full 360 on the arms. The same with this one. Obviously you get the full 360 here, the arm out, and you get the rotation here, but again everything just feels a little bit stiffer on this one. It just feels like it can hold more weight, because it has to, because the figure itself is bigger. But what I really want to show you is this. So on the Hasbro model, if I get him to ninja kick, first of all, I don't believe he can. So he can't because the weight is too much. But also look at that. You can see he just, his hip joints are all, he can hold it a little bit, but slightly, his hip joints are not great. And this one, I mean, compare, this one has metal in its feet, and look, that, and that's with metal in the toes. Now it goes, but this is really, really good. You can get a full-on kind of ninja kick with this guy, I think. No, because the toes bend in, so you can't get a ninja kick, but he holds everything much, much better than the Hasbro one. It takes quite a flick of my wrist to be able to get him down, whereas this dude is, he's very, very floppy. So his articulation here, these joints are much, much stiffer, and he's able to hold his poses that you want a lot better than the actual Hasbro version. So what's great here, as we said before, all of the Siege ports are completely compatible, so you can use him, you can weaponize this dude up, you can do whatever you need to do with this guy, and he fits in really well with your Siege figures. If you have a little look at Barricade now and bring him out, we can see the size comparison between Magnus and Barricade is pretty big. He towers over Barricade. He's a very, very bigger. Bringing out Prime now for the comparison. So this is the KO version of Prime, and you can see that he still even stands tall a little bit over that version of Prime now that he has the armor on. So there's still a nice height difference, even though this dude is pretty big on his own. All in all, this is a fantastic figure, especially for the price point. I picked this dude up on AliExpress for around £25, which I guess is around $32. So he's about half the price of the normal Magnus as well. So I highly recommend picking this dude up for your collection. He's well worth it. I have not found any challenges, issues, complaints. There's some paint that doesn't quite go over, stay within the lines, and it blurs a little bit. That's it. And even though that's in parts that don't really matter to me, as I will be displaying this dude in this form for most of his time. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments about this guy. Is this a pickup for you? Is this something that you're going to miss? Do you already have about 2 or 3 different versions of Magnus, so you don't need this one? What else do you hope that they oversize in the Deformation line? For me, I really hope that they do an even bigger version of Jetfire and also Astro Train. I hope that their next release will be the Astro Train, and they make it the same size as the Skyfire, so that we can get one, or Jetfire, so that we can make it exactly like it is within the Siege series itself. So guys, if you're new around here, give me a like, a share and a subscribe, because it is really helping my channel out. Thank you for all your support that you've showed so far, and I'll see you in my next video. Alright guys, in a bit. Peace!